Hello and welcome to a Blaseball Statistical History, a look at the Breckenridge Jazz Hands development across the expansion era. The Jazz Hands qualified for the first 7 postseasons of the discipline era, but finished in the bottom half of the league from there on. They enter the new era with a few strong players, but a largely inconsistent roster. The new era sees a return to form, as the Jazz Hands finish 2nd in their division and 5th in the league. They head into the postseason once more, but don't make it out of the division series, losing to the Sunbeams. The weather helps them out, granting them 2 wins and allowing them to steal one from the opposition. There is 1 positive and 1 negative blood rain. Conrad Vaughan spends some time elsewhere, while Egan Harrison takes a permanent vacation to the Firefighters, sending back Edric Tosser. In the election, the team give themselves 4th strike for the next season, and infuse their lead-off batter. The feedback has actually strengthened the rotation, and the infusion makes the lineup less patchy. However, the Jazz Hands struggle in season 13, slipping to 14th in division and 17th overall. 5 players decide to spend time elsewhere, and the entire team is reverbed. It only gets worse, as 3 players suffer allergic reactions, and there are 2 negative blood rains, before the incineration of Combs Estes. The weather takes as much as it gives, and 4 parties do little to repair the damage. With their wills, the team gain Earlbirds for the next season, and make a player trade with the Stakes. They are a different-looking team indeed, battered from the events of the previous season, but the lineup has suffered more than the rotation. And it shows, as the team lose 2 more places in the league. But it is otherwise a much quieter season. 5 players take trips to elsewhere, and Wyatt Mason too, who they gained in the late siesta, becomes static. But there are 5 parties. In the election, the Jazz Hands infuse Collins Mellon and bring a new player to the lineup from the shadows. This makes the ending half of the lineup extremely strong. Season 15 is a mild improvement, as the Jazz Hands gain 3 places in the league, but along the way lose a win to Black Hole. 2 players return from elsewhere, but 2 more leave, and there are 7 party boosts. The election sees them bring a player into the rotation from the shadows, and another player leave the rotation for the lineup. The shorter rotation is now stronger and more consistent, and the lineup has power but lacks the same consistency. However, these strengths aren't reflected in play, and the Jazz Hands drop to joint 20th in the league. They do feature in the seasonal reading though, which removes Collins Mellon's alternate mod. They also gain a win from Sun 2. However, Reverb strikes again, shuffling the whole team. Another player visits elsewhere, but the team also get 8 parties. They attract Liquid Friend to their shadows after they are batted in by Tamara Crankit. The team choose to focus both their wills on Elijah Valenzuela, giving them a transfusion and alternating them. But the Millennials decide to make a player swap too. The wills actually ended up making Elijah a worse batter, leaving the lineup leadoff a gaping hole. And the Millennials have done damage to the rotation with their trade. Despite this, season 17 is a much better performance, as they finish 2nd in their division and 11th overall. They appear in another seasonal reading, as Baby Doyle gains the uncertain necklace of entanglement. Their only other event in the season is gaining a win from Sun 2. The election gives them another chance to improve, as they swap Elijah for newly joined Liquid Friend and pop Mike and Hammer into the shadows. This is a definite improvement for the rotation, and the lineup also looks far healthier. But season 18 is not kind to the team. The positives are 3 parties, and that 3 of the 4 consumer attacks are defended against. A few trips elsewhere don't do any damage, and allowing their opponents to gain 2 wins is tolerable. However, they then suffer 3 negative blood rains, a feedback swap with the Dale which is not in their favour, and 2 incinerations. The Jazz Hands do get 3 gifts from their friends though, allowing them to increase some players' souls, giving them life of the party, and an item for Riley Firewall. Their position in the league also entitles them to 3 wills, which they use to move the careful fireproof necklace to Baby Doyle, who drops the item they gained in the seasonal reading, alongside making a lineup change and a player swap with the Magic. The team also win their first blessings of the expansion era, reordering their lineup, improving the 3 worst laser likeness stats of their team, and giving Walton Sports the Cape of Containment. Both lineup and rotation are weaker than last season, but not irreparably so. In season 19, being good is bad, and the Jazz Hands finish 4th in their division and joint 16th in the league. They appear in the league-wide seasonal reading, resulting in Riley Firewall becoming an Undertaker. They gain 4 wins from Sun 2, but lose 1 to Black Hole. 5 players take trips elsewhere, but none longer than 25 days. They face 3 negative blood rains, but have double that amount of parties. They do only receive 2 gifts this season, but it makes them safe from both feedback and reverb. With their wills, the Jazz Hands infuse a Shadows player and make a trade with the Magic. They win 2 more blessings, improving their lineup's base running and boosting Collins Mellon's indulgence. They also gain Jasper Blather, who roams from the Spies. The trade with the Magic has improved the rotation a lot, and the lineup will enjoy the base running boost, particularly now it is ordered in descending base thirst. Season 20, and being good is good again, which is good for the Jazz Hands, who come top of their division and 8th overall. They qualify for the postseason, but are knocked out by the wildcards Dale. They gain wins from both Sun 2 and Black Hole, defend against the only consumer attack, and get 2 parties. There are also 5 more trips elsewhere. Gaining 4 gifts this time, the Jazz Hands become fireproof and late to the party, Steph Weeks becomes ambitious, and Riley Firewall gets some sunglasses. At the start of the election, Liquid Friend is pulled from the team and becomes legendary, having completed their undercover assignment. It is disappointing, then, that the team used one of their wills to re-roll Liquid Friend's attractor mod. They do manage to make a lineup change for a player still on the team, though, and a blessing makes their most E-dense player a negative. The rotation remains strong, and the lineup, now 2 players shorter, has seen a mild improvement. And the team uses it, moving up to joint 6th in the league. In the postseason, they are knocked out in the divisional series by the Tigers. During the season, they gain 5 wins from Sun 2 and Black Hole, and 5 from Sun 30. There is a negative blood rain, and Walton Sports is unstable, but survives it. And all 4 consumer attacks are defended against. Voicemail makes 1 change to the lineup, but elsewhere is the most attractive destination, with 7 trips happening. 3 gifts mean in the late season, the team are fireproof, late to the party, and gain a pitching machine replica. In the election, the Jazz Hands choose to shorten their lineup again, and send Jasper Blather to the Magic in exchange for Comfort September-ish. However, the Spies have a different plan, taking Comfort for themselves and sending back Quack Enjoyable. A shorter team, but so much stronger than they have been. Despite finishing 9th in the league, the Jazz Hands come 4th in Wild High, having some strong division mates. The weather grants them 7 wins. Elsewhere remains popular with 4 new visits, but the team do have 7 parties as well. Kathy Matthews takes a fancy to 5th base, which they pick up from the gym before roaming away to the flowers with it. The 2 gifts the team receive from their friends see the return of Liquid Friend, alongside fellow detective Uncle Plasma. In the election, the Jazz Hands are able to steal an item for Low Forbes and magnify Baby Doyle. They lose a Shadows player to the garages, whilst Collins Mellon becomes a subtractor and Steph Weeks becomes skipping. The team shorter still only allows more time for the best players to shine. The slight weakness is the lead-off batter. In season 23, the Jazz Hands sit 3rd in their division and 12th in the league. They are wild-carded into the underbracket, where they are immediately knocked out by the Tacos. A busy season, the team gained 10 wins from the weather, but also have a negative blood rain. 2 players return from elsewhere and 3 more depart, and there are 3 parties. But it is all change on the team, as the Thieves Guild sends 3 of their Shadows players away to the Tigers and the Flowers. Voicemail makes 2 lineup changes, and Fax Machine makes 3 rotation changes. But the team also sees 3 feedbacks, all with the Tigers, as Walton Sports departs in exchange for Siobhan Chark, whilst Spears Rogers and Famous Owens swap, but decide they didn't much enjoy it and swap back again. The team get 3 gifts from their friends, becoming late to the party and gaining 2 items. In the election, the Jazz Hands choose to become roamless and join the rest of the league in becoming under review. They benefit from the Lift's divisional hitting boost blessing, but also send a Shadows player to the Tacos. Entering the final season of the era, the Jazz Hands have a longer rotation than lineup, but almost all of their players have more than 4 stars. The Jazz Hands fare well in the chaos of the final season, finishing 2nd in their new division of the Vault, but also 2nd out of the 24 ILB teams. They are helped by the weather, which gives them 9 wins, and they see the return from elsewhere of a player. Once again, there is plenty of change, as Voicemail makes 3 lineup swaps, and Fax Machine mix up the rotation 4 times. There is also a night shift. Steph Weeks wants to make the most of the season, having a party, defending against a consumer attack, and surviving becoming unstable. But the team also have a Shadows player sent to the Tacos by the Thieves Guild. In season 24, the Jazz Hands take a while to decide where on the map they want to go. Originally moving towards the desert, before heading to the hall, and then along the top of the map to the vault, where they end the season. In the expansion era, the Jazz Hands faced 3 incinerations, 5 feedbacks, which is the most in their division, and 2 reverbs. They also got 46 parties. They had no yummy peanut reactions, but 3 allergic ones all in the same season. They only had 1 positive blood rain, but 11 negatives. Both Black Hole and Sun 2 were favourable though, with 12 positive to 8 negative Black Holes, and 16 positive to 10 negative Sun 2s, giving them the most positive Sun 2 activations of their division. None of their players were shelled, observed, or redacted, but 2 were unstable. The team saw 1 night shift, 5 voicemails, and 6 fax machines, as well as losing 4 Shadows players through the Thieves Guild. Their players took 41 trips to elsewhere, the most of any team in Wild High, and the longest trip lasted 100 days. They gained 24 wins from Sun 30 and faced 10 consumer attacks. Their Arcana, the Tower, appeared in 3 seasonal readings. They received 17 gifts from their friends, were awarded 23 wills, and won 6 blessings. They competed in 3 postseasons and 1 underbracket as a wild card, but won neither. Last-minute night shifts and fax machines have introduced weakness to both lineup and rotation, but the Jazz Hands have a host of extremely strong players in a configuration that has worked well for them so far. Thank you for joining me for another Blexplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.